June Summer update has brought an entirely new meta to Legends League. Some old strategies are going better than ever before, and there are some new strategies that are dominating the meta. Let's go through our top 5. I know we said a top 5, but I really wanted to give a special mention. This army didn't quite make the top 5. I actually spent a long time deciding between Edrags and the eventual number 5 that I went with. Decided just not go with the Edrags. It's still incredibly strong though, probably the best air spam army in the game. And what I really like about Edrags at the moment is there's many ways you can do it. There's no right or wrong way. You're going to see in this attack here, this is Nabrax. We recently had him on for a video. I'll link it at the end of this attack, where he does the most simplistic version of Edrags, but dominates with it because he just executes it brilliantly. And it's by this, just doing all the simple things. Takes down the Town Hall for free. Early Warden ability is going to come in here. Gets everything in it. Really nice rage spell to begin with. Skeleton spell to completely negate the Monolith, which is obviously a really bad defense. But the number one thing you want to look at, with Edrags, aside from the Town Hall, is the sweepers. You notice both sweepers on this base are facing the back end. So we come in from the side, and look at this. The Edrags are just chaining the entire core of the base. Oh, that was so good to watch those chains. Another chain on the back end. The Edrags will tie out. It's not their job to get rid of the back end of the base. If you expect them to get rid of the back end of the base, you'll fail a lot. What you do need is the King and Queen, which were flanking one side of the Edrags, to go and take down the rest of the base with the Royal Champion. Just hang on to her until you really use her. But as I was saying at the start, there's this way, which is extremely simplistic but quite effective. There's, we've had Nikita on the channel before, who generally, rather than like blimping the Town Hall like you saw Nabrax do here, he'll just use 2 Edragons, a Rage, and a Freeze, and sometimes the super minions to take down the Town Hall, and then has a Flame Flinger on the back end with the Edrags, really effective. And there's also the number 5 player in the world at the moment, Polo, seems to be using Edrags with a super minion clone blimp. So there's so many ways you can use this army. Definitely the best air spam army in the game. If you want to see more of it, I'll link it above me. Nabrax, dominating Legends League in the most simple but effective way possible. At number 5, we have Queen Charge Twin Hogs. The recent addition of the Super Hog has got it inside the top 5 with a really strong strategy here. You saw a lot of people use this quite early on. Klaus was one of the first to definitely use it. Unfortunately, he's taken it on defense here from Cadiel, one of the best hybrid players in the world that has switched to the Twin Hog strategy. And why is this? It's just a bit more flexible. You're not forced to charge the Town Hall. Now, I would recommend you try and charge the Town Hall where you can, because Hogs are still never that good through the Town Hall. But if you can't, you're not forced to. You also have that extra rage and extra spell support for your Queen Charge, which is just super handy. You can't really put enough emphasis on that. Hybrid, yes, it can be good, but generally, you'll find this army here is stronger. The only version of a base where Queen Charge Hybrid will be stronger than Queen Charge Twin Hogs is ring bases, particularly with the double rage setups. This army severely struggles on ring bases. Because the idea, as you'll see executed in a few seconds, is you send the Super Hogs through the middle, and then your regular Hogs take down the outlying defenses, but that doesn't work as well when there's as much damage as there is on a ring base. However, box bases, like you see here, are really nice for this strategy. You can generally Queen Charge the Town Hall. It's on the edge of the base, and there's not too much damage for the Hogs. Now, generally, you do want to leave a Rage spell for your Super Hogs, but Cadiel had to use all his Rage spells on his Queen Charge here. Definitely worth it, though. She's taking out the core of the base, and this time, you can see Cadiel's actually used the Battle Drill at the top of the base. Now, generally, with this strategy, I'd recommend the Flame Flinger, but if there's no Flame Flinger value, don't force it. The next best option's definitely the Drill. Better than the Siege Barracks, in my opinion, because you're going to be bringing Yetis with this army comp. You'll bring the Battle Blimp, you'll bring the Flame Flinger, the one you use the most, the Drill as well, and then very rarely the Log Launcher. Those are the suggested siege machines, in my opinion. This isn't an overkill attack, but it didn't have to be. Pretty toxic base. You know Klaus is always running a toxic base, but it shows how you set up the army really well. Try and charge the town hall if you can. Use the king to help with that queen charge in terms of the funnel. Then super hogs through the center. And then the regular hogs on the outside. And siege machine for whatever is the best possible value. Now, if you want to see more queen charge twin hogs, we've got Stars, who did some attacks on the channel, and Stars, well, he's pretty good with everything, isn't he? At number 4, we have Queen Charge Lalo. Of course, this was going to be on the list. In fact, I don't think there will ever be a meta where this army isn't on the list. And why is that? It's extremely flexible, and it's a high skill strategy, which does make it hard for new players to learn. But thankfully, because I believe it will always be in the meta, it's worth learning it. It's worth learning it. You've got time to develop your skills with the army. Now, why is it really, really strong? Because it's extremely flexible, not only from attack to attack, but within each attack. As you'll see in this here, this attack does not go to plan for Nairobi at all, but he's still going to end up dominating it with one of the best queen charges you've ever seen. And the good thing about this army is there's no one part of it that's necessarily OP. For instance, the Queen Charge, you have so many spells for her, and it's generally, obviously, where you're going to get most of the value. But, I mean, it's not necessarily most OP part of this army. The Lalo can come in clutch if your Queen Charge doesn't get a lot. The Flame Flinger can come in clutch. The Royal Champion can come in clutch. This army just perfectly sets up your troops for success. And look at this. I believe he wanted his queen to get rid of this ground bow here and then go off to the Wizard Tower, and you'd be able to wall break into the Town Hall. But the Flame Flinger opens that wall, so we're in a bit of a bind here, but watch how Nairobi is able to change his plan on the fly. We use the king to tank the other ground bow, A, so it takes damage off our queen, and B, so it never has a chance of getting on our Flame Flinger. There's another wall break. The Flame Flinger is just getting crazy value for us here. Not only just the defensive buildings, but the funnel as well. That wall breaker to the builder hut doesn't actually quite open it up, but that's okay. Freezing for the queen, and believe it or not, we've still got a rage, 2 freeze, and an invis for our queen charge here. The king and RC did great job on the left-hand side. The Flame Flinger's finally about to open. And look at this, the queen's going to beat the wall perfectly here, and we all know she's getting that town hall. There really isn't going to be a whole lot left, and that's the good thing about this army. This attack would have tripled if he tried to queen charge the town hall, assuming he did nothing wrong. But, like, there's no real wrong spot to start your queen charge. You can just start your queen charge anywhere and adapt. There's no strong weakness, and that's the biggest thing for this army. However, I have got it at number 4 for a reason, and why is that? Rage Towers. Rage Towers are extremely popular at the moment, and Rage Towers are probably the biggest counter to this entire army. Not just the Queen Charge, but Rage Towers destroy Lalo as well. So keep that in mind. If you see the Rage Towers, not your friend. Poison Towers are your friend. Invis Towers, as long as you're not an idiot, are your friend. Rage Towers are not, particularly on those really compact ring bases. But if there's no Rage Towers, or if it's not a super compact base, this army should be your go-to. At number 3, we have Super Bowler Smash. Now, until a few days ago, this was a bit higher on my list, but it has seen a drop-off in the last couple of days, and we can talk about that in a second. But what's really good about this army, definitely counters the meta at the moment. You see a lot of ring bases, not only in Legends League, but also in War. A lot of really compact bases, and Super Bowlers are really good at taking down these compact bases because of the bounce ability, the double bounce. Can take down so many buildings with one shot, and the Warden ability can put in a lot of work. Now, the weakness of Super Bowlers is their hit points, and bases with spread out damage, like, they're not as strong against box bases. They can definitely get the work done, but you will probably, like myself, get a lot of 1 stars. Worth noting, you can use basically any siege machine with this army. I'd recommend like the Flame Flinger, Log Launcher, Blimp, and Drill as the 4, but the Siege Barracks can definitely work as well. But what's really good about this army is, yes, you can start with some really creative Queen Charges if you want, but you're also more than welcome to just start out with a Warden Walk. That's something all of us can do. Really simple and generally pretty mistake-free. And then, look at this. Like, nothing Kingsman is doing in this attack is completely, like, crazy and something that none of us can do. It's a pretty simple Super Bowler Smash. Nice early Warden ability. That's something you have to look at with this army. You can't pop your Warden ability too late. because those super bowlers only have like just over 2,000 hit points. It's not a lot, but if you get raged healers on your super bowlers, they will put in a crazy amount of work. Flame Flinger put in a lot of work down the bottom. RC with this army, you just use her to clean up the base. Now, Kingsman uses a slightly different spell comp to what, you know, you'll see a lot of people use. He does not bring the skeleton spell. I'd personally recommend the skeleton spell, but it is up to you. He doesn't bring a poison spell either. That's all up to the Electro Titan. So make sure you don't just sacrifice the Electro Titan with this army. You need to keep her alive as long as possible. So I generally deploy my Electro Titan after you deploy the Super Bowlers. You can watch back to the start of this attack to see how Kingsman deploy them. But yes, this attack strategy, very strong at the moment, but it's particularly on ring bases. Doesn't matter what the spell towers are. This army is probably the best army in the game versus ring bases, honestly. But box bases struggles a bit more. Diamond base is still very strong. If you want to see more attacks like this, I'll link Kingsman above me. At number 2, we have Zap Lalo. Now, if I told you pre-update that Zap Lalo was number 2, most of you would have laughed me out of the room. But because Blizz got nerfed into the ground, all the Blizz players have switched to this army, but they've actually realized that this army is really strong. Now, what do you do with this army? You've got 6 lightning spells, 1 earthquake, and you're just using it to take down as much value as possible, particularly when it comes to the Sui. I'm actually going to pause here. Notice how Kuma took down this side of the core, because he could have got this expo if he wanted instead, but he takes down right of center and then Sui's into left of center, because it just means this expo will not be flanking, but it also means we've got a much better funnel. Our troops are more likely to go in. So as I was saying, you've got 6 lightning and 1 earthquake. That means you can take down expos, multi-infernos, any spell towers, obviously sweepers, and a monolith, granted that a builder hut does not even touch it. Not one builder can. You cannot, though, get eagles or scatter shots, so keep that in mind. But what you want to do with this army is just set yourself the biggest Sui possible. Notice we got the skeleton spell with our RC on the top side. Then you have the Yetis come out, and hopefully your queen or your king, one of them goes into the core with, and you just take down the whole core, and essentially it makes your Lalo as easy as possible. Look at this. Hound pulls the tornado trap, which is perfect. And you'll also notice this, right? We have a lot of loons go to the town hall, but he is still hanging on to 9 balloons here because you got the rage spell over the town hall. You don't need as many balloons to take it down. Make sure you've got a bunch of balloons and a hound for the back end, and look at this. These loons are just going to run over this end compartment, and this base is wrecked. Now, in terms of base styles, boxes, this army, is amazing against box bases, particularly if you bring the log launcher. It looks risky, but it is extremely effective. Diamond bases as well with the log launcher, it's really good. Ring bases is tough. Doable, but tough, particularly the double rage bases, so keep that in mind. If you're running into a lot of rage tower ring bases, maybe not the best army, maybe look at Super Bowler Smash instead, but if you're running boxes or diamonds, this army is really as good as any. Kuma dominated this base here, and we've still got we had a video from Kuma last week on the channel that I'll link above me, and we've got one coming from him in a few days as well, so you can look forward to that. But the real question is, what is number 1? And at number 1, surprising not only myself, but maybe you guys as well, Zap Titans. Now, why is this warranted a number 1 spot? Look at the top 10 of Legends League. This is the most popular army at the moment, but obviously that's not my only criteria. This army is a bit more noob friendly as well. Plus, it's working at the top, so double win if you ask me. Now, have a look at the Zap Quake being done here. Quake spell damages the Builder Hut's town hall and the buildings he's trying to zap, so perfectly done there. And notice he's going for the Rage Tower and the Expo here. The Rage Tower only needs 4 lightning spells, so he's not going to use all his lightning damage in the Rage Tower. He uses the last 1 or 2 to damage the Archer Tower as well at the top, because why not? Anything to speed up our Flame Flinger on its path to the Town Hall. Obviously, getting that Rage Tower down is really nice. We're going to send the Hog here. Its job's to look for Teslas, skeleton traps, or giant bombs, because quite often on box bases, they're on the outside because they're trying to they're trying to catch, these flame flingers, because this army is basically about just getting the maximum value out of your flame flinger. It's already a pretty broken siege machine, but with the lightnings and the warden walk, it gets doubly broken in this attack strategy. Now, I really like what he does to pull this warden away. So the warden, if he placed the queen down right now to pull the warden, the queen would go into that mortar comp and it would be a problem. Now, worth looking, by the way, at the town hall. This expo is actually in range if you put the flame flinger through that gap there. That's why Ghost has put the flame flinger so far to the left here. It's to avoid the bait. You'll have a look. When the flame flinger targets the town hall, it's going to barely be out of range of the expo. But it's really good knowledge of Ghost there of how far that ground bow can reach. So worth keeping that in mind if you see that double expo setup. Now look at this. We got 1 Titan on the far left side and 3 Titans in the middle. You only need 3 Titans to go in. What's really important with Titans is the funnel. So it's worth using 1 with your king to funnel, and 3 to go in is plenty of firepower. Now, Wallbreaker comes and does a great job. Flame Flinger's on the scatter shot. Next, we'll go for the Town Hall, and I'll show you all how OP the placement is. And look at these Titans. So, unfortunately, we do lose one of them, but this right here is the biggest benefit of the Titans. Just go straight through this CC like it's not even there. There was a bunch of skeleton spells, and the 50 Archer CC gets completely and utterly nullified by the Titans, and the raged healers on them not letting them die. Look at that expo range. So if we'd place that flame flinger any higher, it would be targeted. So keep that in mind. People are trying to catch out your flame flingers with this army, because if they can't catch out your flame flingers, they can't stop this. Titans are just so unkillable. Look at them. They're still alive. We don't even have healers for them. They're still up and running. Just can't quite believe it. Now, I can't remember if I said at the start of the attack. Sorry if I'm going to repeat myself here. But box spaces, great for this army. Love it. There's a couple of different approaches. This is the best one. But box spaces, definitely a win. Ring bases, okay, but not great. Diamond base is pretty solid. You'd be pretty happy with a diamond base there. Worth also looking at the CC that comes out here. 2 Yetis, 2 Sneakies, and a rocket balloon. You never know when you might need those Sneakies to target the town hall if a flame flinger doesn't go right. But yeah, in my opinion, these are the top 5 armies in Clash of Clans Legends League at the moment. Of course, all these armies work in war as well. In fact, the top 5 war armies would probably have a serious overlap. So don't worry, just by using these armies doesn't mean you won't be able to get the benefit of them out of war. It's a very similar top 5. But now, it's up to you guys. Let me know down in the comments below. Did I get it right? And what would your top 5 be? If I didn't, I will read and respond to every single comment of yours. Also worth noting, if you wanted to see more Zap Titans, I will link it on the left. But yeah, that's it from us. Hope you enjoyed the top 5, and maybe we'll see you soon.